to Interstellar Quest. We are continuing our journey towards the promised worlds of KSP 2, and we're taking the scenic route. Last episode we got to orbit using a very primitive rocket, and we even managed to get a Kerbal into space. And today this is going to change. We're taking our first serious rocket off the pad. This is the Calypso A. And the Calypso A, like its explorer namesake in the real world, is based to start our initial exploration of the solar system and the Kerbal system to start with. Beautiful effects. We're still using the Viking pod, which is kind of a primitive, simple pod, but you will see an upgrade that later in the episode. On board is Valentina. She will be the first to actually reach orbit, and not just any orbit. She's on an inclined orbit, and she has a contract to do some maneuvers. So we're going to see some interesting stuff. She gets to orbit and takes up a couple of altitudes. Look at this hydrogen, oxygen upper stage. It's quite a performance and beautiful rendering. It will be replaced later in the episode by something unfortunately more ugly, yet way better performing. She's on her way back. She's going to use a trick that I learned in RSS Oro, which is called spin stabilization. So basically you spin up the capsule and then you return it. It means that it makes it easier to maintain the same orientation. You can see the upper stage burning up and crashing in the far distance as Valentina makes her way to the highlands. And the beeping sound in the background, that is a Kerbal science detector. So we're getting confirmations if there's new science to be gathered. And that way we got a lot of science in. And this allowed us to get some new equipment, which means we can launch the second rocket in our Calypso series. This is Scout number 1. And Scout number 1 unfortunately kicks in its main stage a little bit too early, giving us more thrust. That's not a good thing, because more thrust means also more drag. It means slowing the craft down. It means the heat is going to build up. But overall, the mission can compensate. The Calypso is a very powerful rocket. It can, in this configuration, the Calypso A, it can launch about 1.2, 1.3 tons to low Kerbal orbit. And that's exactly what it's doing right now. On board is a satellite chucked to the brim with the latest and greatest in Kerbal science technology. And there she is. It's got a beautiful relay dish on the front, and the relay dish is something I would put on every satellite I ever built that stays in orbit around the planet. And this is, look at the reflection in that camera. That is a sensor. It's a biome detection sensor, and in the lower right corner you can already see the ScanSat screen, which is used to build up a map of all the biomes, and this will be super helpful when landing at specific locations, but also to gather certain resources. It's powered by monopropellant, not the most efficient fuel, but it's also not that heavy, and this is like 95% fuel, so it will get there easily. It could probably even get back to Kerbal, but obviously we're not going to do that. We're a science satellite. So this is us reorienting, because the solar panels will turn out to be an issue. It doesn't have enough power to transmit everything we will gather inside at once, even while pointing at the sun. So it's going to transfer a bit of the data, then black out, recover, send a bit of data, black out, recover, etc. So it's going to take us some time and some juggling to get the data across. But in the end, we get all the data across, we get juicy science, and from there we will be able to progress our playful and get some super new cool stuff that we're gonna need. I'm eyeballing different paths at this point, but we are going to need an upgrade in our space environment, because the Viking capsule is a very primitive capsule, and I wanted to get it first by getting a Kerbal in space, but not use it as a workhorse. And there you are. We are in orbit around the Moon, and you can see Scansat starting to map out the planetary details. It's going to build up all the biomes. I hope that in the future it's going to scan also for helium-3, deuterium, and maybe metal for rocket parts, but that's something for much later in the playthrough. We're launching the third launch of the Calypso. They're all super successful. By the way, on the side you can see the old matchstick boosters. So my philosophy is reuse, and we're basically reusing the original matchstick rockets as side boosters for this one. And in turn, I guess when we come to the next evolution of rocketry on Kerbin, this maybe could also be turned into a very nice and powerful booster. Its payload is Edmondson #1. And we're launching in polar orbit. This is also a first. We've never launched anything in polar orbit. This has a lot of new technology. Most notably, it has a material science. It's got a couple of goo canisters, despite the fact that polar goo behaves exactly as equatorial goo, so there's no new science to be gained. But well, it's there. We'll take it. We'll take it while it's there. You can see that when you activate the booster in a proper point in time, you have more than enough fuel left to actually do the insertion burn. This is what the Russians call hot staging. The Soviets pioneered the most simple staging form. And this is a strange issue. The upper stage crashed back into the satellite. It didn't really damage the solar panels, which I had expected. Fortunately, I had put up 2 sets of solar panels, so there's always a backup. But they do not seem to have suffered any ill effect from having upper stages crash into you. And here we can see the result. It's gathering data. It's building this beautiful map. And once we get above 75%, we will get some additional science from the Scansat mod. The fourth launch is Scout #2. It was in the pipeline, it took a little bit longer, and we also have to wait, of course, for the weather to clear up a bit. Though you can see here these clashes in the back. I think that's stuff breaking the sound barrier. It could also be a bug because it's breaking the sound barrier frequently. Just look at those amazing volumetric clouds made by BlackRack. Maybe it's lightning or some lightning later on. This was a perfect staging. Like the center stage came on 1 second before the solid rocket motors were burned out. They sputtered a bit and then got separated. Meaning that you don't go that particularly fast and you don't glow up the front of your rocket, but also you don't suffer from the drag. The payload made its way and is now en route to Minmus, because Kerbin has 2 moons, of course, and why only scan one of them? Now, I haven't really made up my mind about a final plan, but I think we're definitely going to need orbital infrastructure to build an interplanetary ship, let alone an interstellar ship. So my thinking is that we're going to build probably bases on these moons to build part of our ship, and probably the big parts. And why the big parts? Because if you were to build a 100-meter structure and launch it, it should be super easy for Minmus and really hard for Kerbin. But again, for a later point in time. The 5th launch is something spectacular, because you're looking at a new variant of the Calypso series. This is the Calypso C. It has a new upper stage, it has most notably 4 boosters, and it can lift almost 3 ton to low Kerbin orbit. It's a huge step up. It also has a huge fairing, as you may have noticed. And hidden inside the fairing is deep sight #1. That is a beautiful Korolev cross. The fairings came up a little bit early, but nothing blew up or melted. It's highly sensitive equipment. Why not expose it to furious plasma winds? So the Pug is a interesting engine from the default set of engines. Has doesn't look as pretty as the other one, but has insanely good performance. So we have to switch to this one and get the additional delta V in, and there we are, about 2 million meters up, and we're going to activate the telescope and snap some pictures, because that's what it does. We snap pictures of almost everything in the solar system. As I was making the recording, I realized that I forgot to make a picture of Kerbin, and I forgot to take a picture of Minmus. But we took pictures of Joule. We even were able to get a sort of a picture of Elu. Not that spectacular, but well, this was about 150 signs. Looks great stuff in the tech tree. Next up is Skyforge number 1. We're pushing this to about an 80-kilometer orbit, and this is the first Kerbal space station. So I figured I typically do the Gemini kind of program. We have a rendezvous mission. After the remnant, we have a docking mission. We dock with some target vehicle, and only then we start thinking about space stations and other modules. So I thought, why not just go faster? And KNES made this beautiful laboratory which has material science experiments in it, and we have a small habitat in the back. It's less than 3 tons. Why not do this? This is what Haven 1 is supposed to be. Something simple. Start simple and grow from there. It uses a variant of the junior docking port. According to the specifications, Kerbal should be able to squeeze through it. I wonder, but we'll go along with it for now. I parked it in an 80-kilometer orbit and then said, well, let's wait what happens and if we need to boost it later on. Because the next launch, erroneously numbered number 8, because it's probably number... Oh, wow. Look at that shotgun. Yeah, so this is actually flight number 7 of Calypso. We'll forgive them. Is the flight where we will bring Bob and Jeb to Skyforge, where they will stay 1 or 2 weeks to do all the material science. A bit of fiddling to get set up the rendezvous node and get to a nice 0 meters separation. And then have the computer execute the burn, as you would probably do in real life. You can start admiring the sunshine and the computer can do the rest. The capsule is called Diet. Diet is Greek for 2. And yeah, so it holds 2 Kerbals. And for the start of the career, this is more than enough. Eventually, you'll probably grow in and have all the free rolls on board or backup rolls. This footage is sped up 4 times because some idiots shrunk the docking port on the one side of the station. But fortunately, the one on the other side was correct. Tweak scale automatically matches the size of your docking port, and I think that's where the mistake happened. So I have only 1 functional docking port, but hey, we have a functioning docking port. And I sped this up 4 times. Jeb is doing a spacewalk, and Bob is going to sleep in the habitation module. And yeah, we have our first space station, crewed and well in orbit of Kerbin. They're running the material science experiment. I'm not sure how long that's going to take to grow all the crystals, but we'll see. Jeb is making another spacewalk, enjoying himself out here, and getting that EVA data report. Skyforge is probably not going to stick around for a very long time. I have a reputation of reusing all my space station modules, but I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing that. The Soviets never did that. They launched tons of Salyuts, and I don't see why we shouldn't. But that's for our next episode.